So, how are we doing this oversimplification? How can I say that we're oversimplifying it? How can I prove it? What is it really exactly that we're doing? Um, I'm sure that you have some ideas about it. In my view, I think that people are not able to face reality, meaning reality is always coming at you all the time. Reality brings the truth to you every breath that you take, every step that you take, everywhere you go, everything you do. Reality is constantly trying to reveal itself to you. The truth is constantly trying to reveal itself to you, and that's the soul. The soul is constantly trying to break through your defense mechanisms, which are keeping you in this really kind of quote unquote safe, because somewhere along the line humanity has gotten obsessed with the idea of safety, as if there was no such thing as being too defensive and no such thing as being too quote unquote safe, because you can wrap yourself in plastic to the point where you can't breathe anymore, and it cuts off your air supply trying to be safe, because you don't want to experience germs and you don't want to experience anything that might, you know, cause you the slightest bit of grief. So very specifically, I want to mention that we people are, and of course I never do this. Oh no, I'm perfect. I never do this, but people are avoiding things. We instead of facing what comes, we typically try to avoid it in some kind of way and push it away. We reject, we deny, we pretend, we just straight up lie. We straight up lie to ourselves about what is required of us. And usually, um, it is my personal belief, because I can only speak from my own experience. And that's why I always speak about my own experience, because I'm hoping that it makes sense, because I can't make sense speaking out of anyone else's experience. But from my own personal experience, in the years where I was a stark raging sinner, um, I knew what was right. I knew what was right and wrong. I always knew what was right. Okay. I always knew what God's will actually is. I always know what God's will is. Um, but I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. It was just like, you want me to do what, God? Like, seriously? No way. Come again, back that thing up and bring it back again in a better way. And that was really my way. That was my daily habits. That was my daily practice. It was like, back it up, God, bring it on back again in a better way. I don't want it like that. I want it like this. And I will not accept your will. I won't accept this, because it's not what I want. And if I had to describe the world today, the way that humanity is today, that is how I would describe it in a nutshell. Is that people can't face reality. People can't deal with karma. People can't deal with the truth. And I'm going to use the word karma, the word soul, and the word truth, and God's will. All those things are the same thing, in my opinion. All of that stuff is the same stuff. Okay? And it's not your spirit, because your spirit is really something else entirely. Your spirit is coming from heaven. And that's an opportunity for the soul to evolve. That's why the soul gets excited. The soul is like, all right, we're going to pick up where we left off. And I'm just so sad to see these days that children are not as like excited anymore. It seems to me that people in general are not very excited anymore about being here. That's why I say that we're dying. That's not why I say that. I say that we're dying because We are, because our reality is being deeply distorted, and that causes death, and it's designed to cause death. But people don't see it that way. People think that it's a way out. It's an escape from the things that they don't like. But whenever you take any favors from the devil, there's a price to pay. And so, you know, um, we're so far away from God's will at this point. I can't even perceive it. I don't see any vestige of God's will. I can't really hardly perceive it. And it used to be something that was so overwhelming to my senses, because it would just like be so alive in full color in front of me. This is who we are. This is, what we're supposed to be. This is what we're supposed to do. Um, and at this point, I can still see a vision. I still have a vision, a very small, narrow vision. It's very important for women to have a vision. If women don't have a vision and we don't know what the future, if we can't see a better way, and if we can't see the right way, if we can't see God's will, then it'll be left up to the males. And if this world is ran by men, this world is going to be in perpetual competition. Pretty much, that's pretty much what that adds up to. Perpetual competition for supremacy, because males are used that way by the evil forces, and the females are very strongly hardwired for cooperation and working together and seeing you know, how we can progress together and everybody be on the same team. If you want to make it into a game, that's fine, but it's not going to be, it'll be a zero-sum game where everybody wins, and it's not a competitive game where there's winners and losers. That's what if the feminine was ruling, that's what humanity would look like, is that we're all working together for common goals. We're not competing with each other for supremacy, because that's ridiculous. We all share the same spirit. We all share the same soul. Competition doesn't belong anywhere in that equation. Competition is something that belongs in sports only, and to take something that belongs in an artificial man-made sport and apply that to our actual karma, our soul evolution, that is just absolutely criminal. It's criminal, and it's mind-boggling, and it kills. It kills. So I guess I'm making this part 2 just to say, try to make the hard choice. Try to really ask yourself what God's will is, because I can tell you what it's not. Probably not the easiest thing. It's probably not the, if you have a plate of, a well-balanced meal versus the plate of junk food, it's probably not God's will for you to eat the junk food. Sometimes it is, though. So, because like I said, we're in a distorted reality now. And I've had to do things that I would have never thought was God's will because of the distortion. We're living with a distortion now. So we got to do what we got to do. But even with that being said, I still spend a lot of my energy really examining exactly my options and what God's will is, because I want to be karmically correct, because we all share the same soul. So if one of us is doing correct karma, if some of us are living according to karma, I know some people like that. Not very many though, but there are some people who take life as it comes because they're courageous. They're that brave and they're that fierce that they take life as it comes, and they just go head up with life. Okay? They don't blame anybody else. They don't take their crap out on others. Okay? They don't scapegoat anybody. They are real people. They stand there and they take it on. They take their own karma on to themselves, and that's what we're supposed to do. Like I said, I spent a lot of years not doing that, to the point where, I have to live a different kind of unraveling and revelation of my karma, that has very little resemblance to the magnificent revelation that I enjoyed earlier in my life that I took for granted. So I'm just, you know, I'm interested in being helpful to anyone who's listening to this, to encourage you to, as much as possible, muster up the strength within yourself to live and let live, and to be strong, and to be a boss of yourself, and to be brave enough to accept your karma, because it's yours. Okay? It doesn't matter what it seems like. It's yours. Your life is your stuff. Even if it looks like it's not fair, if it's unjust, so on and so forth, blah blah blah. Handle your stuff, okay? And another thing I want to say, I mean, I'm trying to handle my stuff. I'm trying to walk the talk. Okay? I try to demonstrate that in my daily life now, because I lived for a long time looking for answers, Well, what should I do? What do you think I should do? What do you think? Oh, really? Well, how should I? Okay. So I spent a lot of years just avoiding what I knew to be true, because I was looking for acceptance. There's a whole lot of reasons that we betray ourselves all the time. And when we betray ourselves, we're betraying karma, and we're betraying truth, God's will, karma. Okay? To me, that's all the same thing. The truth is God's will is karma. That's the only way that we can get satisfaction out of our lives. Even if we mess it up, because I do feel like I took a lot of things for granted and messed up a lot of things in my life. But even now, I can still really greatly benefit from facing reality and facing my life and making the difficult choice from day to day. Um, it's just so late. I feel like it's such a late hour and I'm saying all this. It just seems like it's not even going to be received properly, or like everything I'm saying is just in vain. It really does feel that way. And I hate that, because I want to share what I can about what my point of view, because I know it's helpful. I know it is. If you could just, if anybody could grasp the message out of what I'm trying to say. But then again, maybe I just shouldn't worry about it, because your karma is your karma, and it is your karma. My karma is my karma. And that's why we're not the same. We see things differently. So it's not about me trying to force you to see things my way. It's really just about sharing. I really just want to share. And I guess I want to feel hopeful again that human being, because in my ideal universe, there won't be judges, and there won't be courts, and there won't be lawyers and attorneys and turn you over, and turning you over to, because they all work for the same people, all of the law enforcement, and there won't be those kind of laws. It'll just be karma, because if karma was strengthened, and if we all, because here goes the utopic thing, if we all, right, like if we just all do this, right? But no, seriously though, if we all if human beings all appreciated their karma, then karma would be more obvious. It would be more apparent as the cause, because karma is the reason. Okay? Karma is the reason things happen. You know how you go, oh, this was destiny. Wow, this must have been meant to be. How did we end up like this? Oh, why did I move to this town? Oh, now I know why. I see why. Yeah. All of that's called satisfaction. That's called sinking your teeth into life and enjoying your life, because you're seeing the connections, and that's exciting to you. You're happy about that, because the soul is so pleased with the spirit. The soul lives just only for the spirit. The soul and the spirit got a thing going on. They have a love affair. It's a love affair. And the soul belongs to this earth. The earth belongs to God. God created the earth. I mean, I digress. Okay. What I was trying to say was, if we all could appreciate the complexity and the dynamic nature of the soul again, then we might start having some memory return to our brain, to our totally mechanized, sanitized, molested, disturbed, constantly interrupted brain that's been our mind that has been disrespected in this worldly world of a hypnotic trance. We're being made a fool of. We're being mocked. God is being mocked and being made a fool of in this world. And so if we could learn to appreciate and learn to accept and have patience, the fruits of the spirit, like patience, courage, wisdom, faith, so on and so forth. I don't know them all, but the good stuff, um, then we could, like, our mind, maybe we could start having some memory again, because they're stealing all our memory. They've stole, the bad guys got our data all locked up, and go and try to retrieve some of your yesterday and see how you see what happens. They're doing evil things. They're stopping us from being human beings because we are the technology. They're proliferating endless, infinite, meaningless, nonsense, trash, garbage, cheap technology that they are promoting because they're just parasites on this earth. Those bad guys that we buy all of our stuff from, the Bill Gateses and the Jeff Bezoses and all of them, those individuals are a parasitic infection in our human species and on the earth. And they really need to be exterminated. But we can only exterminate them from inside of ourselves by choosing ourselves and choosing each other and making human choices. Because I see too much obsession with technology, too much worshiping of machines, especially around me, how I live these days as a female who's a mother, who's a single mother and who's not 20 years old anymore. I get treated like some kind of robot or something, and it's just my DNA is the memory of the entire evolution from beginning to end. It's in my DNA. It's in all of our DNA, okay? In our deep soul is the entire memory of this planet, of all the life forms on the planet, of everything, including our time in heaven and our future as well. Some people are able to, quiet their mind enough to be able to perceive stuff like that. So I'm trying to move myself more towards a spiritual way of being in my clumsy way that I have to do now, because like I said, I got to do what I got to do now because I'm dealing with some very tough karma now. That's paralyzing at times, crippling even. And I see that reflected in the whole society, where the whole society is being crippled, in the sense that they have to social distance. People can't, we were already socially awkward. We were already socially distant. But now, they've taken it a step further into the isolation of, sheltering in place and into the, where you may want to have express yourself before and it was difficult. Well, now how easy is it to express yourself now? It might be easier for some people to express themselves behind a mask, because they might be shy or whatever, but it's a symbol. It represents your muzzle. They want you to shut up because everybody's getting smarter now. We're all getting tired of this, this just like endless barrage of meaningless, useless, junky crap that they want to keep telling us that we need. And we know what we need. We need us. We need ourselves. We need to be the owner and the ruler and the controller of our own self and our own bodies and our own destiny, and to come together and to have community with one another. That's all we need. That's all I need. That's all I need. And I'm isolated as hell. Okay, I'm not getting any of that right now. I'm not getting no joy. But again, that's my karma. I created that for myself, so I own it. And I'll never blame anybody for that or try to put it off on anybody or try to, make anyone sacrifice anything for me, because I put myself in the situation. So it's up to me to work my way on out of it. And that's all I'm saying. We put ourselves in our situations. If you're an adult, you put yourself in your situation, you should be able to see how you did it and why you're in the situation that you're in. If you can't see, then ask God to help you see. Okay? Because that's all you got to do is be willing. If you're willing to see and you're willing to understand something, if you're confused about something, to the point where you're willing to actually harm another human being, where you're willing to be cruel and harmful to an innocent human being, then you need to get, right with God. And you need to ask God, how can I, what happened to me? Why is my heart cold? What, ask the questions, whatever your questions are, how did I get here? Whatever your questions are, because God will answer your questions. Okay. You will get answers, but you have to ask. If you don't ask, then you won't know. And once you start asking questions and you start getting answers, then you just have to let it roll, because a lot of the things that you are going to be exposed to are things that you don't want to know. And a lot of it is going to be stuff that you can't believe and that you don't want to believe, because it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. But you just got to let that comfort zone go. The comfort zone is a prison. Believe me, I'm telling you the truth. The comfort zone is a straight up prison. And I want to see you free. I love you.